pia mi nilikuwa naekewa mapresha usome nursing, you know, and then you're compared with other people's kids, like sijui nani nani alinunua Lexus because they are a nurse. But it's si kwa ubaya, you know, like your parents want you to be successful, and that's a field that matters, you know, like you're taking care of people, it's secure, that kind of thing. So actually when I first went to college, that's what I was taking prereqs for nursing, and I was even working as a nursing assistant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I would kind of get in trouble because I didn't care too much about the clinical stuff. I cared more about people's stories.
Wow.
So nilikuwa nenda nafanya kila kitu nafaa kufanya, whether I was taking blood sugars, blood pressures, and then once everyone's okay, you know, like if you were my patient, I'm in your room, Omosh, and you're telling me about how you like to DJ and all that, you know. So, for example, a lot of times when we read the Bible, whose perspective are we reading it from?
The writer?
Right. But maybe I should pick a story as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How would the animals tell the story of Noah's Ark?
From the perspective of the animal.
Right.
Yes.
So would they say, tunaenda tunafungiwa, me I like to roam, kukula nyasi, nini nini.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we're being locked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how we read it from the human's perspective,
We are
right?
saving them.
Yeah, right? Yeah. They got a partner, 2 by 2.
And we saved them. They were not collected by the water.
Yes. Yeah, but I get your point. They're seeing it from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
We like being outside, but these people are getting us in here, and we do not want to be in here. We'd rather be outside.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so media literacy is like whatever the story is, just vetting it a little bit more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is and one way you can do that is, for example, let's say you were living in those days and then you're told there's going to be a flood, right? Where else can you check if there will indeed be a flood? And that's a lot of our job too as journalists is weather. Weather is always a big deal, right? So yeah, it's just what is the information, where am I getting it from, and how am I getting it? If it's something like a flood that's gonna happen and then you're told, oh, you might swim away, how would you respond to that?
And this is the OneMic Show. Karibuni. Of course, we have Wambui Kamau in studio. And now, Wambui, before you get your personal health journey and the cultivation of good media habits, because there's some interrelation that you're going to talk about, talk to us briefly about yourself from childhood to your career in journalism, because a lot of people are coming into contact with you for the first time. They may have heard your voice on YPR, but they're coming in contact with now Wambui Kamau at a personal level the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So talk to us from childhood, just briefly from childhood to how you got into journalism, because kawaida Kenyan parents, they want you to be a doctor, a lawyer, nini. So just talk about that, starting from childhood, Wambui.
Yeah, so originally from Kenya and moved here when I was young. We settled in Minnesota, so I grew up in the Twin Cities, that's St. Paul and Minneapolis. And then now I'm calling Maryland home. And even for me, going into journalism was a scenic path. Like, pia mi nilikuwa naekewa mapresha usome nursing, you know, and then you're compared with other people's kids, like sijui nani nani alinunua Lexus because they are a nurse. But it's si kwa ubaya, you know, like your parents want you to be successful, and that's a field that matters, you know, like you're taking care of people, it's secure, that kind of thing. So actually when I first went to college, that's what I was taking prereqs for nursing, and I was even working as a nursing assistant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I would kind of get in trouble because I didn't care too much about the clinical stuff. I cared more about people's stories.
Wow.
So nilikuwa nenda nafanya kila kitu nafaa kufanya, whether I was taking blood sugars, blood pressures, and then once everyone's okay, you know, like if you were my patient, I'm in your room, Omosh, and you're telling me about how you like to DJ and all that, you know, and I'm just there. Yeah, and so I'd get in trouble because they'd be like, hey, you need to be answering your lights. And I'm like, oh,
Wow.
sorry, you know.
So the lights are at the station.
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
you
your
see
call
the
lights.
nurse station.
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
see,
So
okay.
Aline anapiga nini,
Okay.
yeah, nini kengele yake akisema, you know, he needs to use the restroom or whatever, something like that. So then when I applied for the nursing program, I got waitlisted. And for me, I was like, whew, wow, I can't believe I got in. But the people I was in school with, hey, machozi, you know, for them, they're crushed. Like, how could I be waitlisted? My life is over. So that led me to some self-reflection. Like, okay, how come me, I'm not that hurt? I'm actually impressed.
That you're on a wait
That
list.
she made it in.
Yeah.
She's impressed.
Oh,
She
wow.
made it in.
Yeah. And people are crushed that they're on a wait list. They did not get in.
Right,
Oh,
right.
wow.
So I was
Okay.
like,
Lexus driving away.
Okay. Okay.
yeah, so I was like, okay, maybe this isn't the path for me. And when I started to reflect on it, I was like, okay, really I'm here because I like to just hear from people, that kind of thing, you know? I'm not really here because, I don't know, whatever drives nurses, it just that was not my primary driver. And then I even started looking back on my grades, and all my classes, kind of like anything that had to do with languages, anything that had to do with writing.
You were acing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Izo zingine, a
Yeah.
little bit of a struggle, you know.
Okay.
Got some extra time with the teachers. And then I was like, okay, you know what? Let me just try this journalism thing. And if it really doesn't work out, I still got my wait list. And so far it's working out. So that's my journey into journalism.
So that was still in the Twin Cities, or
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
So when you were in college, you first got into the nursing program, or rather into the prereqs for nursing, and then you slowly, once you got onto the wait list, you slowly shifted into journalism.
Yes.
And that's where you've been since then until now.
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. That's a good thing. Now, for good context, Wambui, on how choice of media habits may have serious consequences on life choices. Most people already know about concepts such as financial literacy. Everybody knows about that and they know it's important. But many get shocked when you talk about becoming media literate. In fact, some people were even getting angry. You know, there was someone who was telling me, Sasa wewe, because you think you're on a show, you think other people are not media literate.
Huh?
So yeah, so that's an actual story that happened. But so what exactly is media literacy? Because I also started questioning myself on, am I even media literate? What exactly is media literacy and how is it measured?
Yeah, so like any skill, media literacy is something you keep building, right? Like hata mi nataka kwenda kwa gym, stand up lift chuma moja ni mseme, oh yeah, I'm fit now, right? I have to keep going back to get results. So media literacy works the same way. And for that person who criticized you, that's also a part of it. Is sometimes us as journalists can do everything correctly, but your interpretation is yako that we can't.
You can't help.
Yes.
Whatever you do with the information, it's up to you.
Yeah, right. But basically, media literacy is, in a nutshell, just making sure that you're also vetting the information that you're getting. Si ati unaamini kila kitu naambiwa, right? So who is telling me this story? What are they telling me? Why are they telling that to me? You know, how are they telling that to me? Those kind of things. And then, so let's just, I don't know, I'm guessing most of the audience is Christian, so we can use Bible stories as an example, right?
Not Christian, but
it's okay.
But it's okay
For
because
now, we'll
because
pretend he knows Jesus.
Because here's
Go
the
ahead.
thing, I think I know the Bible than most Christians, but that's a story for another day.
He'll even tell you he's ready to face.
Yes, we'll
Back
talk
to back.
we'll talk
But
about that.
it's
We'll
okay.
talk about that later. But yeah, let's do Bible stories.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for example, a lot of times when we read the Bible, whose perspective are we reading it from?
The writer?
Right. But maybe I should pick a story as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How would the animals tell the story of Noah's Ark?
From the perspective of the animal.
Right.
Yes.
So would they say, tunaenda tunafungiwa, me I like to roam, kukula nyasi, nini nini.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we're being locked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how we read it from the human's perspective,
We are
right?
saving them.
Yeah, right? Yeah, they got a partner 2 by 2.
And we saved them. They were not collected
Yes.
by the water.
Yes. Yeah, but I get your point. They're seeing it from a different perspective. We like being outside, but these people are getting us in here, and we do not want to be in here. We'd rather be outside.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so media literacy is like whatever the story is, just vetting it a little bit more, right? Is and one way you can do that is, for example, let's say you were living in those days and then you're told there's going to be a flood, right? Where else can you check if there will indeed be a flood? And that's a lot of our job too as journalists is weather. Weather is always a big deal, right? So yeah, it's just where am I getting, what is the information, where am I getting it from, and how am I getting it? If it's something like a flood that's gonna happen and then you're told, oh, you might swim away, how would you respond to that? You probably wouldn't take it seriously, right? But then if it's like, hey, you are not safe, then you're like, oh wow, I'm not safe. What do I need to prepare? Those kind of things.
Okay. Now, DJ, let me move to DJ Moshfire. You know, like when you're consuming media, are you consistently thinking about these things that she's talking about, or are you just okay? I've gotten my information, I'm running with it. I'm gonna share it on this WhatsApp group, and that's it. You know, do not ask me where I got it from. As long as I shared it, that's it. Forwarded as received.
Well, 19 Kitambo, I used to just send. Then I became forwarded as received or something like that.
Sent as received.
Yeah, sent as received. And now if I cannot verify it, if I cannot see that there's a source and there's a tweet and there's a Sijui thing, Kenny G is going to be in Kenya and I can't see it on his page, on his Twitter.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, even if there's 88 ads and they're doing it every hour, he's not going.
It's out.
So, which means me, I'm not sambazaring and letting other people know.
Okay.
Like, if I can't verify it 9 times out of 10, I'm not forwarding it. But if indeed I will, then I will have a disclaimer and say, by the way, this one here, it's Ali who sent it to me. I cannot verify.
Cannot verify the
Yes,
source.
I cannot verify. So you get the information, do with it as you please.
Okay. But now, with that Kenny G example, what if someone sends a screenshot of Kenny G's page, a verified page, that Kenny G is going to be in Nairobi. And even he's been seen at Mama Oliech's place eating fish. And it's on Kenny G's screenshot. Nice screenshot. Looks very authentic. What do you do with that? Do you start, commenting?
I get excited, but I still go and check it.
Okay.
Because if I can't see it on the source, then that means that diggity ain't happening.
Yeah, because I think the people who are spreading false. Okay, now I think we've got it, Mika. Now, yes. Before we get to Mika, with a lot of whatever is happening right now is that the people who are scamming are getting more clever. Like they understand people want to check the source, so they give you a source. Like earlier today, we got a screenshot that Fred Matiang'i has dropped out of the presidential race in Kenya. Nice screenshot from a source that's known, kenyans.co.ke. It looks authentic, but because of my personal skepticism, I don't care. Even if it's who has sent something to me, I will always go check in the original source. If it's not there, I'm not believing that.
So had you gotten that screenshot from Baba Maura, would you have believed?
So, for me, the way sometimes I get caught out. If it's something spectacular, like presidential candidate has dropped out of a race. My first instinct is that, first of all, most mainstream media sources would be on that story immediately.
Correct.
So if you're not seeing any other chatter, it's important to be suspicious.
And more than likely, there'll be a media presser or something that they'll come out and say, hey, more than likely at this point with all the noise that they've been making.
Yes, that's right. And we have Wambui Kamau in the studio. Number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Someone was asking me for that number on YouTube.
Say it a little bit slower. I think it was Monica.
Okay, the number is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Again, even slower and in an easier way. 202-683-4570.
That's easier.
That's easier, yeah. So 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Kimasai baadaye. Mika Och, karibu sana to the OneMic Show. For a brief minute, Paula, we had some equipment issues here, but for a brief minute, talk to us. Tell us what you expect from Wambui Kamau tonight. Mika Och, twende kazi.
Thank you, Ali. I want to say good evening to everybody. Happy Friday. Another happy hours, IPR, another week we've survived America. And you guys, do you know it's actually 4 months to next year? So the year is nearly over. January,
Ati what?
4 months.
So, unataka kuniambia in a loose 4 months we'll be sitting at that place eating fish again?
With Kenny G.
Hey, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Mika, contain yourself.
Samaki, big fish.
Contain
anyway, for me, I just want to say, boy, thank you for gracing us with your presence, for accepting to come to us. And actually, what I'm expecting, Ali, when she was talking earlier, she said that she got in trouble because of stories. She likes hearing stories. And actually, me, what I'm expecting today is to hear a story from her.
Okay.
That is the only thing I'm expecting. Like in her own voice, her own journey, in her own voice, in her own way, how she's going to narrate everything to us.
Okay. All right. Sawa. So people want to hear your story. And as we get to you, Wambui, Kim Jeru on YouTube is saying, with proliferation of AI, you cannot trust your basic senses like sight and sound. Verify everything. And part of, false information, there's misinformation and then there's false information. Just last week, we're talking about how easy it has become to scam Kenyans. Kenyans have been in multiple scams. And
to be fair, not only Kenyans.
Yes, to be fair, not only Kenyans, but a lot of people, because of believing something, because just someone told you, but it's making money, so you dive in mzima. But then again, we're going to be talking about all these things tonight. And I want to remind the listeners that you're tuned into the OneMic Show. I'm your host and producer, Ali Badawi, and we are talking to award-winning journalist from Baltimore's WYPR 88.1 FM, Miss Wambui Kamau. She's here talking about how cultivating good media habits can help the community. We'll shortly be talking about Wambui's personal health journey and silent medical conditions stealing women's health and reproductive choices. We'll also get into why all men must pay attention in topics of reproductive health for women. So keep it locked for that and more. And please drop a comment below to let us know what you think. Leo Facebook watu wamenyamaza, but I want to hear from Facebook too. YouTube is a bit active. Now, also in the comment section below, please type a yes or a no if you think you are media literate. Yes for media literate, and no, I do not think I'm media literate. So let's see how many yeses we'll get. YouTube and Facebook, please type in. As we're going to be assessing tonight what media literacy is, and we're going to gauge if we're media literate or if we still need a little bit of work. Our lines are open. The number to call, 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. An easier way, 202-683-4570 *5. 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Feel free to call in. And then
nyota tano.
Yeah, nyota tano.
So it's not hash.
It's not hash. It's star.
Okay.
Yeah, it's star. Now we had an audio clip that Wambui gave us. I don't know whether you have it ready, Uno Mike.
Before you play it, can I add something to the conversation?
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
So I think it was Kim who said to verify everything, including social media.
Yeah.
Some other quick tips that you we probably all know, but I'll share anyway, is if it's an article and it's online, it should have a byline especially for a lot of us who maybe consume media from secondhand, in terms of maybe the story was already on Nation, and then some of the sites that we go to now here takes it over. For the most part, it shouldn't say by staff. It should say, by Ali Badawi, so you know who to hold accountable or who to reach out to.
So these articles that say by staff, so we should not trust those.
Not that you shouldn't trust them, but don't over rely on them. Sometimes, so for me, I work in mainstream media, right? Sometimes when there's just things are flying, we do have to get things out there. So sometimes when an article says by staff, it's probably not something that I went and wrote. It could be something like, maybe we got it from the police department, so they wrote it and we put it on there and we say by staff and we change a little bit of wording. But sometimes when we do that, it's because the information is so critical that it's better for you to know, right, than to wait for us to
verify,
or not necessarily verify. Some of those things are likely, or just to So for example, let's say it's an evacuation, right? Like even how you guys are reacting, you would be like, yeah, let me know I need to get out, versus sit around and wait for you to find the right words, But some people, it's always, like I've noticed with some of the sites, it's always by staff, by staff, by staff. So that's one place to not always trust that. And then another thing that I feel like our communities really need is, sometimes we already know the news, but because we don't have those relationships with journalists or with certain outlets, it's already at a grassroots level and we know things, but they don't know things. So I think also sometimes we just need to trust ourselves and our judgment, like, oh wait, this happened and it's different and it's changed, and that's what news is what's new, right?
Yeah.
So that's another thing that I did want to offer out there. It's like, it's not always things that we can learn from other people who wrote these rules, but it's also things that we can just believe ourselves on.
What about these articles that say, like by editorial board? Are those to be trusted? Because it doesn't have a name, it just says editorial board of the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times.
How editorial boards work is they're separate from newsrooms. So at a place like the Wall Street Journal that can afford to employ so many journalists, right? The editorial board is not like, if I work for the WSJ, I would not be part of the editorial board. It would be different people who are part of it. And that's literally their job, is to give you their opinion. So I'm glad you brought that up as well, because yes, there's different types of news, right? So there's the news mostly like I cover, what's happening on the ground, what took place today. Factual news. Yes. But then some of these larger media houses tend to have, or even just, I would say it's not always size, because the industry is changing. It's not always size based, but a lot of the legacy outlets tend to have opinion as well as part of their content. So when it comes to opinion, there are editorial boards, and they'll be honest and they'll say, hey, this is an opinion section, and that has its value, right? Because, for example, let's say I go and cover a candidate. You can either vote for Ali or you can vote for Omosh Faya. Ali says he's gonna do this. Omosh says
endorsing
he's gonna
candidates.
Or I would just say these are the two maybe more options that you have, right? But then the editorial board would say, we prefer Omosh over Ali. We like Omosh because he's fun. We've had a hard time in the society. We need someone who's fun, right? Like, that's what an editorial board does. And they say, like, they're giving their opinion. You don't need to like follow it, but it's just something to consider. And it's also a way to drive up engagement, right? Because even just hearing something like that, it'll trigger somebody and they'll write a letter Nowadays, it's an email to the editor and say, hey, I can't believe you said you prefer this candidate over someone who's fun. This and that is happening in the schools, or our roads are terrible. What is a fun person going to do about that? So that's also another purpose for editorial boards, is they kind of give you a measure of the temperature around issues or
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Now, there was a time on Kenyan media, when like when Uhuru was president. So there was a team called the Presidential Strategic Communication Unit, PSCU. It's kind of like, I think it's kind of like
Presidential press unit.
It's kind of like the White House press or the White House spokespeople. So they would actually, newspapers would actually publish what's written by them as an article. And most people just read an article, but they don't look at the author. And they would write PCSU, Presidential Communication Strategic Unit.
Yep,
so most
PSCU,
people did not even know what that was, but I could tell why is an article in the newspaper not being published in the opinion section. Because I think, like the White House, for example, they can publish an opinion piece, or like an individual senator or a congressman, they can publish an opinion piece. But here, it appears like in the newspaper, like a normal article, and people are just reading it and accepting it. So I don't know whether that happens here in the US, but I noticed at some point it started happening in Kenya.
Yeah, it absolutely does happen here in the US. And one of the things that is supposed to happen, whether it's a newspaper or a broadcast, there should be a label on it that says sponsored content or sponsored message.
Yeah.
So when you see sponsored, then you know, hey, this is actually an advertisement, not, something journalistic to inform me. This is something to persuade me.
Wow. And I will tell you, I'll be honest with you, because I speak for the regular news consumer, 90%, even if they see that, they probably don't know what it means. And I guess that's where you now start slowly teaching yourself and becoming literate, so that you know that this is someone who paid for this space here. Because I've also noticed that a lot of these media houses now, on their social media pages, they have a lot of sponsored content. So it appears, so you're used to seeing Fox 5, you're used to seeing news, but there's certain pieces that it kind of looks like a news piece, but it's labeled sponsored. But a lot of people, that's one of those things that I think now people are slowly going to start need to learning. Those maybe who did not know about it, thought they were media literate. These are the small details that you need to look at. And I want to welcome Stephen Batty all the way from Dallas. Karibu sana. And then Stephen Batty says, I take journalism classes. So tell us more about those journalism classes, Steve Batty, because Steve Batty has a podcast, Sambaza podcast, so he's also in the space. And then Esther Mulusa, he says, neutral, I am not well versed in AI. So neutral, I don't know whether you mean about the media literacy or whether this is the AI part. And then here Sambaza says that yes, he is he is media literate, and we're gonna put you all to the test to see how media literate you are. And then Washeke here has an interesting question, and she's asking, can we talk about the misuse of the phrase breaking news by cable news? It's now lost its meaning.
Wow.
Wambui.
All the way from Siberia. Look at that.
All the way from Siberia. She's still getting breaking news.
No, that's something that I agree with, right? So why is that happening? I think nowadays there's such a pressure on us as journalists to break, sorry to use the play on words here, but break through the noise, right? Because we're just also bombarded by information. And so then it's like, okay, let's say I was, I don't know, covering a court case today, right? So the verdict is out. Do you guys think it's fair for me to, if I go on Twitter or wherever I'm informing my audience, to label breaking news?
But that's what happens, especially, let's say for lack of a better example, like Diddy's case, whenever anything small happens, not even a verdict or anything, anything small happens, breaking. You're seeing multiple outlets saying breaking, breaking, breaking. So that, like tends to oversaturate you.
No, that's absolutely fair. Yeah, it's something we absolutely need to work on. We, as journalists and just in the media, we do need to get our brooms and our dustpans together and literally clean that up, because another way that people who do that or that style, it's about eyeballs, right?
Okay.
Because and that has to do with how the media is structured, right? So for example, for me, I work in public media, which means that it's the listeners who pay for the content. The government was also contributing, but with the current administration, that's changed. But if you're working in, let's say, commercial media, then you need ads. And how do you get ads? You need to say, oh, between 4 and 6 p.m. or whatever time hours, we get this many clicks. And so that's part of the reason. It's kind of like a profit motive when we say breaking. Another thing that also happens is in journalism, we have beats, which means that's what you cover. So if somebody covers entertainment, someone covers sports, someone covers politics. So sometimes if I'm not interested in sports, but the sports journalist is going to say breaking because maybe, I don't know, a Ravens player got traded or got injured or something. So in that sphere, it is breaking news. But because I'm not interested in that topic, I'm like, say nini.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like what they call a watch bomb. Like those watch bombs that on ESPN that would be dropped like when a basketball player is being traded, like when Anthony Davis or LeBron James is being traded. I mean, of course, that's big news. But to someone who's not interested in sports, is like, hii ni tafashi hapa.
You mean
Why
to
are
us
they bothering us?
non-Lakers?
Yeah, to
Okay.
anyone who doesn't like sports. Yeah. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. As we wait for that audio clip to be ready, I'm going to read a couple of comments here. Monica, Kim Jeru. No, I already read Kim Jeru's comment. This is Shook Once. Okay. I like that name, Shook Once. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Like Denzel said, if you don't read the newspaper, you are uninformed. If you do, you are misinformed. Shout out, Kaz, proud of you. Okay, that's Shook Once. And then Marimo says, yes, I'm media literate. And then, yes, type yes if you're media literate and no if you're not. Now, Ignatius Njuguna is saying, not sure, because I only read what's appealing. Now, that is, I like the honesty. And Kim Jeru says 80-20, if I'm being honest. But I like what Ignatius has said. Not sure, because I only read what's appealing. Now, as far as media habits are concerned, is that necessarily a good thing? Should we just read what's appealing to us?
No, we shouldn't just read what's appealing to us. We should read a little bit of everything. And even in the things that are appealing to us, we should read it from multiple sources, right? If, I don't know, let's say I like to read about beauty, what are beauty trends that are happening. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't just read from you. I should also read from Omosh, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But sometimes also reading things that you're not interested in will give you a better idea or a bigger scope about the relationship between things.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
You see, for example, I hate gossip. I don't like reading gossip. But gossip is very popular. But
it's juicy.
It's very juicy and it gets a lot of clicks. Like you'll see it has a lot of views. So if I'm someone who is out of tune with gossip, you'll find me reading, I read a lot of different things. I read a lot of history. I read a lot of current affairs. I read a lot of politics. I watch documentaries. Do you think I should add some gossip to my diet?
That's a tough one because I'm the same way. I'm not big on the tabloids.
Mm-hmm.
But it never hurts to know a little bit of pop culture, you know what I mean? And
TMZ.
yeah, and as somebody who likes history, one way to read things that you don't like to read is to read it through the things you enjoy it, right? So let's say you're not into gossip,
Yeah.
but since you said you're into history, you can approach it that way. Like, oh, why are they talking about Meghan and Prince Harry in this way,
Okay.
right? And rely on some historical themes that you're used to.
Okay. All right. Okay. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Bakora is saying on mic, the audience and grooming for these Gen Zs is incredible. Nyinyi watu tunawa appreciate sana. Okay. Thank you so much. And then Monica says, not sure. Sometimes I get biased. Now, as we still wait for that clip to play, I have there was a quote that you actually gave me, and I'm trying to find the right way of saying it. You said bad media habits don't just misinform, they invisibilize, they train us to ignore the truth in our politics, in our communities, and even in our own bodies. And that's a silent crisis. Just talk to us about that for a minute.
Yeah, wow. That's profound. Can you read it again, please?
So you said, this is what you told me. Bad media habits don't just misinform, they invisibilize. They train us to ignore the truth in our politics, in our communities, and even in our bodies. And that's a silent crisis.
Yeah, so I think that's real in the sense of, especially for those of us who are here living abroad, sometimes we're not telling our own stories, or if we are, the way that we're telling them, there's a nervousness to it. There's like I don't want to be seen. Oh, be careful. Oh, I don't know how this will be interpreted, right? So I think that's why it's important for us to be able to tell our own stories. And I think also one thing I've noticed is a lot of diasporans have they view maybe journalists as celebrities, like untouchable, where really you should view them as like, you work for me, right? Oh, sorry, I thought you were gonna say something.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So when you look at us that way, I think that helps you get more and better information that you need and you deserve.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then Annette is asking, can we talk about misleading headlines and rage bait? These tactics are used a lot on social media, especially. So talk about that briefly too.
Yeah. Thank you, Annette, for that. It's so true, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier about for some, not everyone is acting in good faith, even though in the media space, right? For some people, it's really just about clickbait, and then you alluded to earlier about scams.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's also just about, once you click there, it's not just for that person to make money off of ads
Mm-hmm.
or that organization. It's also to get your information, because through your IP address, they can tell, oh, these are the things that Ali likes. So now every time you're online, you're like, why do I keep seeing sneakers everywhere? Because they know that's what you like, and that's what they're, trying to sell to you, type of
Yeah.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
But wow, in terms of rage bait, like that's something we really need to be evaluating more, because again, it has to do, when it comes to information, really it's about power, who has it. So when it comes to rage bait, depending on the topic, it has those are the underlying themes, right? So let's say you guys are into politics. So you'll see a lot of that in with sometimes with political headlines, even though there's that notion of like, oh, it's politics, it should be highbrow, that type of thing, right? But sometimes those rage bait headlines, if it's like, you know, this group of people does XYZ, and it's something like that just doesn't have any dignity to it,
Yeah.
right? Like that also can like mobilize a different base of people so that they can go and do what they need to do politically.
Right, but